Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good devil.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family. I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Matt, we are back for another episode, Box Office Benders.
Yes.
I just thought you were going to take it from there.
That's a fact.
Here we are.
Here we are.
We're going to review
and
a movie.
we're off to a great start.
I see we're off to a running start already.
Explosive even.
Oh.
Ooh,
See what you did there.
There it is. Thank you. Yes, this week we are going to be diving into our foreign film of the month, which this month we picked a Netflix original film titled Bullet Train Explosion, which is a 2025 Japanese film. Uh, Kind of a little bit of a backstory here. It's a sequel to the 1997 Japanese film titled The Bullet Train.
75.
And that film also inspired the 1994 American film Speed, starring Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Who? That's a little fun fact there.
Yeah, it was a 75 Japanese film.
Oh, what did I say?
I don't know, but not 1975. I don't remember.
You said the wrong date. You said the wrong country. You did the whole thing wrong.
Well, I didn't go that far. You said it right. You said it was a Japanese film. You got that far.
Okay.
And that was a very exciting fact to go in because, Speed is probably one of my most favorite movies. I love that movie.
Yeah, I think I've only ever seen it once.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Bullet Train Explosion is directed by Shinji Higuchi, who is the director behind Shin Godzilla that came out in 2016 and Shin Ultraman that came out in 2022. I just noticing here, Shin is also, I guess, Shinji, but Sin is in his name. So is he putting his name in front of Godzilla and putting his name in front of Ultraman? Or it might be a cultural thing where I don't know exactly what Shin means. But I just saw that it was an interesting side note there as I'm reading it out loud.
Yeah, that is interesting.
But either way, I know a lot of people, at least a lot of people liked Shin Godzilla. This was the Godzilla film that Toho made before Godzilla minus one. So they took a long break there between Godzilla movies, and when they did came back and did Shin Godzilla, I think it was met with mostly positive reception, but also for hardcore fans of Godzilla, they're like, I'm not sure about this one. But I think it's clear that when Godzilla minus one came out, I think everybody was obviously attached to that movie, including us, one of our best films of that year. But yeah, this movie kind of taken our intrigue a little bit. Like you said, Speed is a great movie, and I definitely agree with that. But a kind of a sequel to, I guess this in a way, because I remember reading it originally and said it was a reboot, and then I was watching it, it was a sequel, and then when I looked back into it, it's definitely a sequel.
Yeah,
Like they're making clear references from the first movie
absolutely.
uh,
Also,
into this one
I have an answer for you for your Shin Godzilla
Oh.
and Shin Ultraman.
for sure.
If you would like to look at this.
Yeah, the term Shin and Shingon comes from the Japanese katana, which can carry multiple meanings depending on the kaiji used in the new, true, or god. It's in the context of these films, Shin is used to signify a reimagining or reinvention of the classic Godzilla and Ultraman franchises, aiming to return to their original thematic roots while updating them for modern audiences. Huh. All right. So I guess our director is just all brand new.
Yeah, so I guess that's their way of signifying reboots.
Interesting. So I guess in the case of that verbiage, this would have been Shin Bullet Train. and it
Well,
was not
it's a
because it was a
continuation.
sequel.
It's a continuation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I do find the naming a little bit interesting. Bullet Train Explosion. Uh, I feel like these are not like words that flow together. But that's just me.
Probably
But
sounds
either
better.
way,
Probably sounds better in Japanese.
probably I 100% agree with that. When they translate to English, you're like, nah, I don't know about that one.
It
But
doesn't
regardless,
work.
we're going to be talking about
That name doesn't work. It's not
the
scary.
name doesn't work. But yeah, so we're going to be diving into Bullet Train Explosion a little bit later into the show. But before we get to that, we're going to be talking about what we've been watching. But before we get into that, we got some news to cover. And well, Ernesto, it's official. Warner Brothers Discovery has completely gone insane. There's no other way of explaining this. They have gone mad. Uh, you might have missed it, but in case you did, starting this summer, the streaming service Max will be rebranded yet again and will now be called, wait for it, HBO Max.
Wow, look at that.
When I saw this, I had to do a double take because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that they actually went back on it. And I really wish we can pull up a clip from a episode because they said this change was 2 years ago. I want to remember when we recorded this episode when we first talked about when they made the change to Max, and I'm pretty sure in that conversation that we had, we probably mentioned something along the lines of, "Why the hell will you take the HBO branding out of the name?"
Yeah, it's so dumb. Like you just don't realize like the HBO is the main driver of all the great shows. Like that's what's gonna get
Yeah.
people to keep coming back. Like why take it off? I mean, I get it. You want to show love to all of them, but let's be real of where everybody's going to watch their content. Everything else is pretty much secondary to anything coming out of HBO.
Yeah, and it's just so weird of how because we've seen it within the last few years. We've talked about it for at least for the last couple of months and obviously within the last 2 years that Max and the branding of Max and the branding of HBO have always felt separated. Like they HBO Max was kind of bringing it together and they wanted like the theatrical experience which was HBO shows were on the television screen, but they wanted it to have the HBO Max brand be something like more kind of again appealing to the Netflix crowd going in. So when they gave us HBO Max, they were like, we're putting out different content. And then when they split it into Max and HBO, Max felt more of we give you movies sometimes we're really focusing on reality TV. And we had mentioned when they were canceling a lot of their shows and a lot of their Max original movies went off the streaming service and was available to uh like video on demand. It was on like you can rent it or you can buy it, but you can no longer stream it. And then over the especially with Warner Discovery getting involved, and we see this like this branding management of like HBO wanting to like, oh, we have our own specific brand here. We want certain shows to live with us and not with Max. And then eventually now, here we are again, 2 years later. Seems like they're just trying to bring everything back in at home, and it's just one big mess. As I stated before, this change comes just 2 years after Warner Brothers Discovery decided to drop the HBO from the streamer's name to become just Max. Note that while HBO and Max have carried separate commercial brandings during that time, they have competed under one HBO/Max label for industry rewards. The surprise announcement was made less than 2 months after Max changed its color scheme from blue to the classic black and white HBO color scheme. I think that's also something to note that we literally again we had talked about this not too long ago, and we're like, okay, so Max is just copying HBO, not copying, but they're going back to HBO. I think the writing was on the wall there.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's just, it's just that I guess this is part of their restructuring. They're trying to figure themselves out, seeing, and they're just making it publicly known where they went wrong. like,
I
like
I
we
I
told you.
so. In a press release, Warner Brothers Discovery said, and this is the corporate bullshit that I hate, but this is what they said. They said returning the HBO brand into HBO Max will further drive the service forward and amplify the uniqueness that that subscribers can expect from the offering. It is also a testament of Warner Brother Discovery's willingness to keep boldly ir, ir, nope, boldly wow, I can't pronounce that word. Boldly iterating, thank you, to myself. Its strategy and approach, leaning heavily on consumer data and insights to best position itself for success. What? We told you this 2 months ago. We sorry, 2 years ago, we told you that HBO dropping the name was stupid. Now you're like, "Well, now we're here to, further drive and amplify uniqueness to that subscribers." Like, this is just corporate nonsense that makes no sense,
Just
and
yeah.
clearly, like, HBO was always your driver.
Yeah, like why are you acting like you didn't know? Just
Yeah, it's like,
it's just
oh
gobbledygook.
oh, after further research, we realized that HBO is a viable brand.
We were
No
wrong.
fucking shit.
You realized you were wrong.
I'm not sure. Has shows like The Sopranos or The Wire or Game of Thrones did not already signify you as unique and HBO being a viable brand
Yeah,
to
exactly.
yourself?
Exactly.
Uh, the consensus among branding experts is that Warner Bros. Discovery's decision to resurrect HBO Max is a tactic acknowledgement that it committed a big strategic error, one that continues to cause confusion. Here are just some of what those branding experts had to say. One saying, re-adding HBO isn't a rebrand, it's a corporate walk of shame. Another saying, Warner Brothers Discovery destroyed 50 years of prestige. And another saying, Warner Brothers Discovery's flip flopping from HBO Max to HBO Max was an example of corporations underestimating the cost and complexity of creating new brand. Going from HBO Max to Max was the pinnacle of walking away from brand equity, brand loyalty, and brand clarity.
Facts. Yeah, that
Facts.
yeah,
Yes.
doesn't get any clearer than that. That's 100% true.
Yeah, and I also agree with, like, you just, destroyed 50 years of prestige. And this is also some of the other stuff that we've been talking about as well that comes a lot of confusion of where HBO Discovery's kind of making their decision, one of which was that we talked about last week about ditching the Looney Tunes. The Looney Tunes have such rich history with even associated with Warner Brothers. To let that go, I mean, they don't fully, but, like, to let go some of your classic episodes that people mainly associate with and take it off your streaming service, it just seems like a slap in the face. And 2 years ago, it seemed like, again, a slap in the face that taking away HBO from your streaming service and taking away the name, and you would feel like, "Oh, that's the right move." And, I feel like the only right move that Warner Brothers Discovery has made within the last 5 years is putting, James Gunn in charge of DC Universe.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. But that could be part of it. It's like, hey, other people have really good ideas. We kind of need to start branching out and listening, and it, maybe they finally are. Because I mean, James Gunn is, I mean, even now, like he's just so active with his internet community. So I'm sure he
Mhm.
sees like all the things that people have to say about HBO, and this is a company that he's very much invested in. So I would understand, if they're listening to certain kind of influence. Sorry for those who are just listening. We have an appearance from Matt's cat, who's just
Yeah.
she's
Which is funny because 'cause it's been a minute since my cat has made an appearance, but today, she wants all the love,
that's twice. That's
and
twice now she's come by.
that is correct, and
Once
so
before,
that's a signal to me that I'm in big trouble once we're done here.
yeah. But I,
Um,
I also thought
but
it was funny that the memes that they posted out. They posted with them.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So since Warner Bros. Discovery knew changing the name back to HBO Max would cause widespread confusion and mockery, the media company tried to preempt some humiliation by posting a slew of self-deprecating memes immediately after this announcement. And here, if you're watching us on YouTube or Spotify, you can see some of those memes that HBO posted themselves. This way,
Yes.
and I think in a way this is smart because they knew that this was going to happen. At least their marketing team knew this was going to happen. In a way, I applaud them for making fun of themselves, but also this does not distract me from the fact that you guys are all idiots over there.
Well,
Um,
at least this is them trying to make a step in the right direction. So that I gotta at least give them credit for that. You know,
yes,
they're clearly they've rectified their mistake. I mean, literally the Euphoria one is my favorite. It's like, bitch, you better be joking. And it's like that the literal they line up all the logos and it comes right back and it goes right to HBO Max. And then they
yep,
change the Spider-Man one to a Superman one. And I didn't even see it at first, but you have HBO Go hiding in the corner of that one, and then the van says
yeah,
Warner Brothers Discovery. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. And then the
yeah.
comment section one, oh man, hilarious.
I like the I guess what they posted with the Superman one where it says V2 approved by legal,
Yeah.
and they don't know which one got approved, which is kind of funny. I do also like they also sending thoughts and prayers and posting a meme of going into the comments section after rebranding again and basically signifying that we're just feeding them to the sharks. Uh, and then the True Detective one from season one with Matthew McConaughey, the famous line he said that everything we're ever done and will ever and everything we've ever done or will do, we're going to do over and over and over again. Yeah. At the time, it was funny, and it still is. Like it was very quick too. It was almost like immediately that they did that. Even there was a few videos of um John Cena and James Gunn. Like it was fake, but it made it seem like that they were doing like behind the scenes for Peacemaker, and then they were John Cena was like, yeah, you can stream this on Max. He's like, it's HBO Max now. It's like, what? He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. The Warner Brother, we're in the upfronts right now. They're changing to HBO Max. Like, are you serious? Like, they're changing this shit again? Like the HBO Max? And so I'm pretty sure it was all a stunt, but uh, yeah, they did something similar with James Gunn as well as if they were doing some behind the scenes stuff for it. So yeah, I to your point, this is a step in the right direction. It should always have been HBO Max when they made the initial announcement. The color changes and like going from the even I was even fine with the purple. Like the HBO Max purple, you were different from all your other competitors.
Yeah.
Like it was great. It was fine. Truly the 2 years with Max and the dark navy blue was just awful.
Yeah.
And then it made 0 sense when you decided to change it to the black and white theme, but it makes more sense now with the HBO. So hopefully they this is the end because you know how many other streaming services changed their name? 0.
Yeah. And they have a great and they have a great streaming service. I would argue they're right up there with Netflix with 1 and 2. I think they have a great library of content, and they just the stuff they bring it in, but just between HBO and just the movies they put on there. I think it's great. I think it's a great value for what you pay for.
I happen to at the time I didn't agree with you because I always felt like I still think Netflix is king.
Yeah.
To this yeah, I feel like they and that's number 3 for my cat. Hello. Um and now she wants to I'm gonna get her down. She wants to scratch up the whole chair, and that's not good for sound. Um the I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, Netflix is king. And I still think they have a slew of great content that's on there. There's always something for me to watch on Netflix, and I've always been like they still had a great library of movies, especially with their deal with Sony. I know that if I can't catch a Sony movie in theaters, it's going to be on Netflix fairly soon. But to your point, I think the HBO getting A24 and having that on their streaming service, that's been a nice addition to the more adding more to HBO Max. And especially now I'm watching Hacks, I'm watching The Last of Us. It's all right there. They have I mean, HBO has always have great content on there, so you can't deny that.
True. The problem with Netflix is that they put out a lot of content. Like
Yeah.
it's usually like an absurd amount. So it's usually like, yeah, they have good stuff, but you have to shift through like massive piles of like mediocre stuff to even get to it. Sometimes that even the good stuff gets lost in the noise.
Very true. It's very true. But when you find it, it's a hit. Like when
That's
Netflix,
fair.
when they got it, they got it. They'll let you know when they'll let you know when the hits are.
True.
That's for sure. Um, so yeah. So anyway, HBO Max is here. It's coming. So the streaming service is still called Max. This summer they'll have an official rebrand of it to HBO Max, and hopefully it stays. And again, to your point, I hope this is a sign of good things to come for what the streaming service has to offer. I know just I think today, as the time of this recording, they just dropped the It trailer. Welcome to Derry, I
Yeah.
believe,
Yeah.
the prequel. So that's exciting. That continuing with the HBO brand, and I think also it'll be a true test to their brand once the Harry Potter series launches on the streaming service and see
Oh
how many
yeah.
people that can generate.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be big.
Mhm. All right, so moving on slightly from HBO. Speaking of other crazy decisions, toward the end of last year, Warner Brothers Discovery decided to not renew its deal with Sesame Street Workshop, thus no longer premiering new episodes on the streaming service Max, and only retaining select library programming through 2027. Warner Brothers Discovery has stated that they made that decision because it was shifting focus away from children programming. We saw that mindset continue a few months later when Warner Brothers Discovery decided to remove multiple classic episodes of Looney Tunes. Well, now Sesame Street has found a new streaming home. Netflix has picked up the children's series. Netflix has picked up the children's series, which will make its debut later this year with all new, reimagined 56th season plus 90 hours of from previous episodes. And these episodes are like not even 10 minutes,
No.
like each.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of content that Netflix is acquiring. Um, which where was I saying? Yeah, plus 90 hours of previous episodes available to audiences worldwide. The new episodes, which will now each center on one 11-minute story, will be available same day to date in the US on PBS station and PBS Kids digital platforms, maintaining US kids free access to early learning, which Sesame Street is all about. In addition to the format changes, the new season will feature the return of fan favorite segments like Elmo's World and Cookie Monster's Foodie Truck. Kids and family programming represents 15% of Netflix's total viewing with shows. And with that last sentence, you can almost understand why this is a huge get for Netflix, as is a huge get for Sesame Street.
Oh yeah, I mean, this that PBS programming still has a place to go, has a home that somebody's gonna also take care of their content, and this is I think it's really interesting. I think, and it's something different. And Netflix, not for nothing, we were just talking about they do have a lot of content. They do have a lot of kids programming. There's a lot of
Mhm.
different TV shows. There's a lot of different movies. A lot of them are pretty good. You know, so I think this is exciting. I think this is a great move. This is a great way for this brand to continue to survive.
Yeah, and I think one of the big differences between Sesame Street and HBO had this relationship for over about 10 years, almost 10 years, where Sesame Street new episodes would air on HBO and then later it would air on PBS. And so they HBO also had a library of Sesame Street episodes, but again, that deal was that the new episodes would air on HBO first and then later on PBS. So this deal is even better for Sesame Street because Netflix has agreed to air those new episodes the same day and time to PBS and to its digital platform. So this is kind of going against the exclusivity window or the exclusivity model that Netflix is typically known for. To having exclusive content on their streaming service, it just sounds like they're willing to play ball just to with Sesame Street, just to have access and to provide new episodes of Sesame Street. So, like in a way, Netflix, I wouldn't say they're not gaining anything, but as far as like we're the only place that has these episodes. They're not gaining anything from that. But just to have access to these episodes and new episodes. That's what they're gaining. And then now for Sesame Street, they're gaining Netflix's millions of audiences, and sorry, subscribers, millions of subscribers, so they're able to reach a larger region all around the world.
Yeah, I mean, and really, even if it's not mainly financially beneficial for Netflix, that's great brand recognition for them because they're going to
Absolutely.
pull in all the Sesame Street people, and then Sesame Street is going to get all the new Netflix crowd, and it's just going to help. They're both going to help each other grow, and I think it's just mutually beneficial for both of them to be together. And I think it works. Who knows how much more they can put into the production value of the show.
Yeah, and actually that's a really good point. That Netflix can hand them a whole bunch of money to kind of beef up the production and just make this stay alive.
Hmm.
Um, and it's also crazy to think about that this show has been running for 56 years.
Still going strong.
Still going strong. Everyone knows Big Bird, everyone knows Elmo, everyone knows the Cookie Monster. We all know them, we all love them. And I hope they're here to stick around for a long, long time. And I think with Netflix, they're able to do that.
Yeah.
So, to me, this is just great news, great heartwarming news. It's better than when HBO decided to just cancel them, and not well, they didn't cancel them, but they decided to no longer continue their relationship with them. And yes, I can kind of understand they're trying to stay away from kids programming, but when you have that relationship for so long, you would think that that's something you don't want to give up.
Yeah.
And these are just some of the decisions that just comes like the HBO is like, "What are you doing? What Warner, not really HBO, but Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, what are you doing? These decisions are just questionable." But then to that, it's coming to Netflix's benefit, and also seems Sesame Street as well, because I feel like they're getting a better deal at the end of the day.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it does moving forward, like once everything's out, and like in comparison to when they were with Warner Brothers, just to
Yeah.
show
Well, I
like the
mean,
difference of a company culture of like how they can blossom and do better.
yeah, and like I said, clearly they're going to reach a much wider audience
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, good for Sesame Street.
yeah. All right. The world of Creed is finally expanding into television. Amazon Prime Video has given a season order to Delphi, a drama series set in the gym featured in the Creed film franchise. Exact plot details are under wraps, but the show is said to follow young boxers who train at the gym. Marco Ramirez, the creator behind 2017's The Defenders and 2019's The Twilight Zone, will serve as showrunner and executive producer on the series. Michael B. Jordan will also serve as an executive producer under his Outlier Society production company. I think this is great news, a great way to expand the series. Like, it's basically like underdog, just breeding underdogs, and kind of like I'm all about a good underdog story, and like training and doing better. It'd be interesting to see how they craft that into a show, and like, is it going to be something that's long lasting, something that's only going to be like maybe a couple of seasons, like a set story. Like, if they're going to do this, they got to make sure they do it right, just to honor, I think, just to make sure they honor the brand.
Yeah, and that's the part that when I read this, it was just like, this seems really broad. Like, you kinda didn't tell me anything that's, for me, worth getting excited about. Obviously, the Delphi Boxing Academy is the home of Apollo Creed and very much prominent in the Creed films, as well as shown in, Rocky 1 and 2, I believe. And yeah, 1, 2, and 4. I mean, Apollo Creed was Rocky's. It's been there for the good majority. The like, I can't see as of right now how this can be a show. Outside of, like, because the only thing that's connecting this to the franchise that you're just setting a show in the gym, and that could be anything, you know what I mean? So it's really gonna come down to the storytelling of what you want to bring to this show and just happen to be featured inside the gym, which is like a very loose franchise, tactic.
Yeah, and I guess I would argue I want more of a like a following, like maybe one boxer and like his start
Mm.
to finish and kind of how he mixes into the Creed universe. And then yeah, I think that I think that'll be good. I think
I
it has
I
it has
wonder if this
potential. Has potential because, But then you just don't want it to drag on for too long, because then it's just gonna be like,
Yeah.
no, it's like, oh, then why do we even do this? Why are we watering down the brand? It has to survive in the universe, not like rely on cameos and all that stuff. And
Right.
I kind of would want all unknowns. Like, give me a completely unknown cast, all new actors, like fresh faces. This is like maybe a good place for that.
Yeah, and again, I think this show just seems like it's gonna come down to the characters. I feel like something like as far as this can work as maybe an anthology series where we like each episode will follow a boxer and some of their
Mm,
struggles that they have, but they come to the gym and this is a place for healing for them, or they're using this for different advantages. Is like that I can see an interesting place because then like you're really focusing on the gym aspect and less, but it just happens to be the home of Apollo Creed, who was able to breed not one amazing boxer but two, and now here's how this gym can create more like it can heal and appeal to more people, as it did to Apollo and Adonis Creed.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I feel like that can be an interesting tactic to it. Following one person could also be interesting, but I feel like you have to be, it has to be really great storytelling for that to work. So yeah, nothing about this excites me yet. But to your point, it definitely has the potential. Michael B. Jordan's attached to it. This is also part of Michael B. Jordan has like this is part of his longstanding connection or partnership with Amazon Prime, where we talked about when the movie came out now 2 years ago, that he was working with Amazon to come out with expanding the brand of Creed, and we saw that come to fruition with the comic book. There were rumors that maybe, this series would follow his daughter that had an interest in boxing. Maybe that can still be the case, but they're setting it around the gym, who knows? And so, yeah, this is just 2 years later, we're seeing at least small details of Michael B. Jordan still committed to the Creed brand.
I actually really like your anthology idea, and I wonder if instead of one person an episode, you do like one boxer a season,
Mm,
and then but you still have your core main characters, like your gym bot, the people who are working in the gym, like they
yeah.
they they reoccurring every season, but then people rotating in and out of the gym, like every season we could follow a new person.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, definitely something different. Like,
Yeah,
I because if this is just because they're calling this a drama series, so it can be drawn out and it can be I can see in a way where it does is not good.
yeah,
So y-
and don't want to be
so
too
a lot of room
repetitive either. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
we'll see.
We'll
Be-
see.
Because talking about branding as well, HBO when you go into an HBO show, you expect a certain level of quality. Amazon Prime Video, you don't always get that quality with some of its shows. Like
Yeah,
I feel like
hit or
Amazon
miss.
Prime is a hit or miss.
Yeah, they have a lot of
So
good hits on there, but there are
they
certain
do.
few that you're like, oh, this should be good, and then it's like, what is this? What is
Yeah.
this?
I feel like with their big brands though, like The Boys and Fallout, and I mean, I did not keep up with Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, but for people who are watching it, that seems to, do well for them. So
or
hopefully another big IP like this will continue to do well for them as well.
or Reacher. Reacher is another big
Oh,
one.
Reacher.
Or
That's a good one.
the John Krasinski one.
Oh, Tom Clancy.
Tom
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Those did really well too. But then you got some that like start good, like Upload, and then
Mm,
Upload didn't finish. It just wasn't.
damn.
It was not good. It just didn't. It got to a point where it was just like, I gotta stop watching this. Like I just
Yeah.
like I that and that's even sadder is that even when you're invested in the story, you get to a point you're like, I literally don't care what happens anymore to any of these people. Like I'm checked out.
I feel like it's even worse when you decide that mid-season.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't care. Like sometimes, like you just want to finish out the season, and then new season comes out. And you're like, okay, you know what? I'm done. But at least you finished the season. When you decide like halfway through the season, you're like, no, I'm good. Like
Yeah.
that's when you know it's that bad.
Yeah, that's when it's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was Upload.
I mean, I think you went longer than I did.
Yeah,
It
we
just
did.
I watched the first two seasons, and I was like, I'm good.
I tried. After season 3, I started it and I was like, maybe. First episode, that wasn't that great. Episode 2 is just it got progressively worse, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
and I'm done.
And next.
And next, all right, all right. So, I hope that Creed does well. I do hope that works out really well.
Yeah.
So moving on to some casting news, Kristen Ritter is officially returning as Jessica Jones, making her MCU debut in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, premiering sometime in 2026. Ritter played Jessica Jones in the self-titled Netflix series for 3 seasons from 2015 to 2019, as well as the Defenders Limited series in 2017. It was also announced that Matthew Lillard is also making a guest appearance in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. That's interesting. I wonder who he could be.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Lillard has been on a great streak lately, with his run on Five Nights at Freddy's, as well as it was announced that he's returning to Scream 7,
Right.
in addition to Nev Campbell. So, yeah, I mean, especially how, like, wicked not I wouldn't say I wouldn't use the word wicked, but, like, how, like, dark Daredevil Born Again can be, I can see him playing, like, a sick character.
Yeah, I just hope that whatever they use him for, they don't waste him like they did
That's fair.
Muse for last season.
100% fair.
Like,
Um
don't set us up for like a great villain just for them to get taken out and never to be reused again. It's
Yeah,
like,
I
what are
feel
we
like if this
doing?
is a guest appearance, it could be I'm not sure if it would be a villain, but I mean, based on Matthew Lillard's track record, I can feel like it could be something not a good person,
Yeah,
at least.
something nefarious to say the
Yeah,
least.
and I think there's no surprise that Kristen Ritter is coming back as Jessica Jones. I think we all were expecting her to pop up in the finale, to be honest.
And so that makes me wonder that if the rest of the Netflix Marvel TV crew's coming, so Luke Cage, Iron Fist, does that mean that David Tennant is Purple Man in this universe? Even though he gone. I mean, she took care of that, but
She did.
we are going to Doomsday Secret Wars. That's the thing, dude. Secret Wars, it hits the reset button. So anybody who was great, we can just go ahead and bring them back. They can somehow during this event they found a portal and they made it back over, and now they're over here now.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like so far, I mean, especially after watching Thunderbolts, obviously there was no mention of whatever whatever was happening in Daredevil and whatever happened was Thunderbolts. It still remained separate, even though they were both happening in New York. Whether it was happening on the same time, but none of which we're making any mention of. So I'm curious to see if or when they decide to cross over because they haven't done so yet with any of the other MCU characters, with the exception of Daredevil popping up in She-Hulk, but She-Hulk wasn't even in with the other Avengers either, with the exception of the Hulk. So yeah, I'm just waiting for that MCU crossing with Daredevil because I really want him to see him interact with other characters from the MCU, not just the Netflix one and She-Hulk.
Yeah.
But that being said, Jessica Jones is the third best character. Well, I shouldn't say that. Uh, like, I think Netflix or Disney knew and Marvel knew that, like, bringing back John Bernthal, Vincent D'Onofrio, Charlie Cox, those were the main people you wanna bring back because those are the huge fan favorites. And then if you go into what's next, I think Jessica Jones is definitely what's next, for
Mm.
sure.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because
Well, it was interesting because what direction this season will have, since
Mhm,
season 1 had all those rewrites. Like, they
mhm,
basically like changed direction. But now they've rewritten themselves into the direction that they want to go. So it's
right.
curious to see what all of season 2 will bring once everything comes together. 'Cause,
Yeah,
and what was the and then what was it in comparison to the original vision? So we could be like,
very
"Oh,
true.
this was good because that sucked." Like I would love to know that, like what the original script, what did that look like? What did the original direction look like? Was there even a season 2 thought of for the original
Mhm.
for the original series? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
interested, and
and
I think this is great news. I think these are great castings.
yeah, 100%. And to your point earlier, I'm now curious that okay, you brought back pretty much everybody from the Netflix series. How far is this train going to go? We have Jessica Jones back. It only makes sense if you bring back Mike Coulter as Luke Cage because he was fantastic as Luke Cage. And I
Yeah.
think now the next one is that if you bring back Iron Fist, would you bring back Finn Jones as that, even though he was not widely liked as the character, or do you do something different with it?
You almost have to bring him back unless you bring him back through Secret Wars and he comes through the portal as another person. You know, that's like that's be the, and then you have to like kill him off in this universe. It's like it's got to count. All right, you can come on through now. He's dead.
You can come on through. Yeah, I will be curious if they, bring back Luke Cage and then they give us a different Iron Fist because it does feel like we're reuniting the Defenders here.
Yeah,
Or
you almost have to. It's almost a given. It's like, all right, everybody else is in. You just gotta, you're gonna have to pick it up the pace a little bit. Gotta keep
yeah,
up with the others.
seriously. So time will tell on that, but I think bringing back Kristen Ritter, it's good. Then get to your point. This is good casting. Bringing back some familiar faces, bringing back some new ones. Matthew Lillard is part of the MCU now, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I have high hopes for Daredevil season 2, given that now we have a one vision going into the second season. So
And make her
do not
addition. And make her
disappoint.
addition. Yeah, exactly. And make her addition count. Don't make her like a one note thing. Like, I don't know. It's gotta
Yes,
matter.
agreed. Gotta matter.
It's gotta matter. Let's move on. All right. The Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping, which hits theaters November 20th, 2026, continues its hot streak of great casting by adding A-list Ralph Fiennes as President Snow, Elle Fanning as Effie Trinket, Maya Hawke as Wyrus. Other additions include Kelvin Harrison Jr. as Beatty Latier, Lily Taylor as Mags Flanagan, and Ben Wang as Wyatt Callow. I think the one I'm most interested in is Ben Wang as Wyatt Gallo because like isn't his first film gonna be this Karate Kid movie?
It is not his first film. I actually thought the same thing. And he has been quite a bit of movies and shows. He was also the star of American Born Chinese, which was a Disney Plus original show that
Mm,
came out 2 years ago. It only lasted for one season, but it looked really good. It also starred Michelle Yeoh and Ki Hu Kwan. So it was one of those shows where like I wanted to check it out, and then it got canceled. And
mm.
you're like, "Damn, like, was it meant to be a limited series? Did we meant to go on?" But it still piques my interest. But he was part of that show. But yeah, now he might be getting more popular claim to fame once that new Karate Kid movie comes out. He is the Karate Kid in that
Yeah, because I thought that was the whole point of the search thing. Like, remember they did that whole
movie.
search casting for a new actor, but I guess I mean, I guess he was unknown enough to fit the bill. I mean, because I
Yeah.
mean, I thought this was his first without looking up his IMDb. I thought this was his first that was going to be his first film. Either way, this is exciting. I'm excited. I've seen the trailer. I'm not one to watch trailer, but I watched that Karate Kids trailer.
Mhm,
And he looks fantastic in it. That movie looks really good.
mhm.
I'm very much excited for it. Um, I'm all in on this movie. So I think the book I burned through the book. It made me start to reread the Hunger Games book, and before this movie comes out, I'm probably gonna reread this book. So I can't wait for this movie to come out. It's gonna be so good and so sad.
I think this round of casting. And I was like, obviously, you have been reading the books, you're all in on this world, you have a lot to look forward to. But I have just been impressed with the casting at that point. Now, however, on the second round of casting, this cast is becoming quite impressive.
Yeah.
When I saw Ralph Fiennes as President Snow, I was like, damn, talk about a person to go up against. What's his name? Something Sutherland.
Donald Sutherland.
Thank you. Yeah, talk about someone to go up against him because he played President Snow, right?
Yeah.
In the previous movies? Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're having a slightly older one from the Songbirds and Snakes, but not, I guess, maybe not as old as the one we get in the Hunger Games film.
Yeah. Not old man Snow. This is middle
Not
aged.
old
This
man,
is middle aged Snow.
middle-aged Snow. But Ralph Fiennes, they got Voldemort in here. Damn, he loves his fantasy novels, that's for sure.
Hey,
Uh,
he can go if he can do it. I mean, he's
y
if there's anybody who can play that evil good, it's him.
that's very true. Elle Fanning and Maya Hawke, great addition here because she's about to, we're about to see her in the new Predators movie that comes out later this year. Definitely out of her wheelhouse on types of movies we've seen her in. So coming off of that, that's also very exciting. Maya Hawke, we would probably just would have finished seeing her from, the final season of Stranger Things, maybe if that doesn't
Mm.
get delayed again. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I think another great addition. She was also fantastic as on her voice acting for Anxiety. And then another one I'm really looking forward to is Calvin Harris Jr. I know I was kind of shitting on the movie last week, but he was the voice of Taka in Mufasa the Lion King.
Mm.
But he has been in other things that I've really liked him in. One of which was a movie called uh oh man, I forgot the name of it. Is Chevalier. I forgot that. I'm probably said that wrong, but he was a great like actor in that role. He played that role very well, and I think I remember him seeing another one. He was also in the Trial of Chicago 7. I feel like, oh, Loose. It should be available on Hulu. This movie came out in 2019, a little bit younger him, but Loose was a fantastic movie. He was very intimidating and scary in this movie. And I've kind of been like not really following, but, like, his movies that he's been a part of has been intriguing me. Also in the limited series, uh, Genius, he played Martin Luther King in that, opposite I believe opposite Aaron Pierre, who played, wanna verify, yeah, Aaron Pierre played Malcolm X, and then Kevin Harrison Jr. played Martin Luther King, in
Mm.
that show. So yeah, so definitely excited to see what he has to bring to this role. And obviously, this is Beatty Lataire. He was also in the original Hunger Games films as well, right? Or he's only
BD,
two
yeah,
this new.
that was Edgar Wright's character.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, okay. Um, but yeah, so just the casting alone, without really being too familiar with this franchise as much as you are, this is getting me excited more so than the casting for Songbirds and Snakes. So they're definitely pulling out a lot of money into this for sure.
Yeah, I'm very. The more I hear, the more excited I get. I also really like their Instagram for Hunger Games because
Hmm.
the way they release it, they do like she shows you the page, and then it shows the character name, and then it fades into who's gonna play them in the movie. It's really cool.
Yeah, and again, if you're watching us on YouTube or Spotify, these are the images that they're after they kind of fade into who's playing the character. It's these images that they're showing you on social media. These black and white images. But yeah, good stuff from Hunger Games. I'm sure they're not done yet. At the time of this recording, I thought I had a graphic ready to go, but then they announced one more, and it was Elle Fanning. So now they just keep coming. I feel like every couple of days they just add another one.
Yeah,
So
there's a couple more. There's a couple more. Uh, there was another one right before this recording. They announced who was gonna be Lulu, the other District 12 girl. I just remember that they
oh,
just
did they really?
yeah.
Damn, man, they're going too fast for me.
It is. I'll
Oh
tell you.
yeah.
You see it?
No, hold on, let me see. Instagram, Hunger Games. Oh yeah, I missed it.
Yeah.
There's a few. Oh, they did so many. I thought it was just one.
I just
So
as
let's
we were
see.
talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, they did. Like literally right on my way home,
So it looks
they
like
had
we have
announced.
this young girl, Molly McCain. Oh, the graphic went away.
So so we
There you go.
have Luella and Lulu. So who's Molly McCain is going to be Luella, Ayana Bell is going to be Lulu. And what's interesting is you see they look very similar. Like
Mhm.
that's which is essential to what the book is like. Because I don't want to give it away.
I
But
see.
there's a reason why they look so. There's a reason why they made them look so similar, and why they're slightly different. And I think the way that they do it is fantastic, and I'm excited to see how they're going to incorporate that into the movie. So
Okay. So, as we speak, they keep announcing new actors on this film. And lastly, it's time to say goodbye to some beloved TV shows. And this is, for the most part, a lot of shows that been we. It's been every couple of months we will talk about shows that get canceled. I might have said one of these shows in a previous episode. I don't know. I apologize. I don't remember. I'm just covering my bases here.
got to make sure I tell
Uh,
you.
so we're starting with Netflix. So again, these are shows that are either ending or getting canceled. So from Netflix, Heartstopper is ending after 3 seasons, but instead of ending with a movie, so they've already had the 3 seasons. So instead of getting a fourth season, they're getting a movie instead. The Recruit ended after 2 seasons. Sandman, after the whole debacle with Neil Gaiman and those allegations, they quickly ended his show. So that is coming to an end after its upcoming second season. Chaos, that starred or at least featured Jeff Goldblum. He was all over the promotions, but I think he was barely in the show. But that got canceled real quick, and that only lasted for 1 season. Outer Banks, it's ending with its upcoming fifth season. Now moving on to Prime Video. The Summer I Turned Pretty is ending after 3 seasons. Harlem ended after 3 seasons. Bush Legacy after 3 seasons. Cruel Intentions after 1 season. And this one actually quite surprised me. The Bondsman, starting Kevin Bacon. You're like, what's that show? Exactly. It came out maybe a month ago, and Prime Video already canceled it after 1 season.
Mm.
So, and that's the thing. It's like, what determines a show to last? And this has happened multiple times with multiple different streaming services. What classifies an immediate cancellation? Like, if it's just not hitting, you have a star. Like, some shows, they need some time to breathe. But if you're telling me that you've already canceled the show, like, and that wasn't the main purpose after a month of its release, then like, what was I don't. I feel like you never gave it a shot. And what's the point of me watching it if you, as a streamer, said, "Well, we're not investing in this anymore."
Well, I wonder if it has to reach a certain threshold for it to even be considered as viable. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, maybe. I mean, clearly, obviously, there was number metrics all over the place, and it's almost, to me, when I see a show gets canceled after the first month of release, it just seems like that must be a really bad show.
Yeah, it must be really bad.
Right. Like, if people weren't even watching it. But then is it the show's fault if maybe the streamer isn't marketing it? So, like, I don't know. I feel like there's a multitude of reasons there. Moving over to Apple TV Plus, Mythic Quest ended after 4 seasons, and actually, within their fourth season, I think the creators of the show had filmed almost like a preliminary, just in case we get canceled episode. I guess they were able to find a way to weave the story that this could be the last. And I remember reading that this show got canceled after, like, in the midst of its fourth season, and then they ended up taking an episode out and then replacing it with now the final
Mm.
episode.
That's smart.
So
That way they can have their ending. Like they can go out with their ending, and they also they're gonna release uh, a spin-off show called Side Quest.
interesting.
Um,
So they've
I,
already
yeah, so
so
like
they canceled the main show.
canceled the main show, or at least it's getting its ending. Like at least it's
That's
ending. You
fair.
know, it's ending its main run, and now this other side project, literal side project, can open up. I think it's fun. It's
Interesting.
a fun world. It's a funny show. I actually still need to watch this last season. But yeah, it's very sad to see that one go.
Silo, it's ending after 4 seasons, and currently the third season hasn't even happened yet. So I think they just preemptively said that Silo's renewed for 2 more seasons, with the 4th being the end. So, still plenty of Silo to go, but just know that it's ending after it's whenever that happens, it's 4th season.
I also like that
Um,
too because in that, like, that lets you know, like, well, maybe they had a defined ending. So maybe it's a really good self-contained narrative that has a
yeah.
definitive end.
Yeah, I think isn't like House of Dragon, I think they also renewed it to its end as well. I think House of Dragon's also only getting 4 seasons,
Yeah, I
and
think
they,
so.
like after season 2, they renewed it for 2 more seasons, with the 4th being the last as well.
I believe so. Yeah,
Acapulco?
Acapulco. Yeah,
There you go. It will be ending after its upcoming 4th season. Moving over to Hulu. I think we had already talked about this, but Solar Opposites, it's ending after its 6th season.
it's a good run.
Um, and yeah, it is a really good run. And How to Die Alone, another show that just hit Hulu not too long ago, got canceled after 1 season. Moving over to Max, The Sex Lives of College Girls got canceled after 3 seasons. Bookie after 2 seasons. The Franchise, again, another show, real quick, at its first season, quickly canceled after the end of its first season over at HBO. And Taika Waititi's show, Our Flag Means Death, ended after 2 seasons. This was also a while ago. I just didn't remember if we actually mentioned it or not, but that is no longer happening. Um, Peacock had a huge purge on a lot of its shows over the last few months. The biggest one being Bel Air, ending after its upcoming 4th season. This is like one of their flagship shows when they announced the Peacock streaming service. So
Hmm.
I think it had a decent run. I think it came out around like 2020 or 2021. So
Did you keep up with it? Because I remember you started it.
one season, and then after, it just felt like for me it was just too drama heavy.
Mm,
Like, there was 0 levity in that show, in my opinion. I don't know if it got better, but I didn't feel the need to kinda stick around and found out, but I gave it a shot.
mm.
But yeah, it's ending after its upcoming 4th season, based on a true story, starring Kelly Kuko. I feel like it's very similar, at least from the trailer, it looked very similar to The Flight Attendant, where she's like part of this murder mystery thing. Is like, oh, she's just doing this again. But based on a true story, is like in universe podcast, and then I guess somehow it gets involved in a real life murder, which also sounds like Murders in the Building. So either way, that lasted for 2 seasons and then got canceled. Mr. Throwback, a show that I actually watched, I thought was really, really funny, but I didn't think I think they weren't. I can definitely have seen it in a situation where it would have not continued much after if it got a 2nd season. It also, I believe, only had like 6 episodes. So it was also very quick, but that got canceled after 1 season, and then 2 horror shows, one called Teacup and Hysteria, and both of those shows got canceled after their initial first season. Over to Paramount Plus, Frasier is maybe ending after 2 seasons. That was the reboot, bringing, I think Kelsey Grammer came back as Frasier. Um, I say there's a question mark there because I think they're shopping around to other streamers to see if they're going to take it, but I don't see any hope for them. I didn't see a lot of positive buzz over that reboot, or I guess revival, I should say.
That's unfortunate because like you go through all this trouble to bring back these iconic shows, and then like you try to do like an updated season and it just doesn't hit the same. So like, how does that make the actual finale? Like when the original series finale aired, like what does that do to that finale? Like,
Right.
is this a new show? Is this a separate thing, or is this the next season of the same show? Like, I don't know.
I guess you just ignore it
I don't
at
know.
that
Like,
point.
so, like, why? Like, stuff like that just makes you like, do you even care about the series finale? Like, so
Yeah.
why get invested? And then, if you're just gonna end it, like, are you gonna have that same kind of finality with the next season finale, series
Mhm.
finale, or is it just gonna end? And then it's like, what the fuck? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I feel like it's I think it's a rarity because, like, The Connors was like that, where they had, from Roseanne, and then you had The Connors starring John Goodman, a lot of the returning cast came back, but that lasted for, like, 8 seasons.
But The Conners is a new show. Is
Yeah,
technically a new show. Like Roseanne had her show and it ended,
yeah,
and then in universe they was The Conners because that's the new show. Whereas
yeah,
this is like Frasier. Like the original show is called Frasier. This show is called Frasier. So this is a
Yeah,
it just feels different. Like Connor, I get why the Connor survived because it didn't it became its own thing. Plus they kicked Roseanne off the show and then everybody got shuffled around and they changed the dynamic. But they are at least able to make it work for
that's
that.
very true. And that was like the first season, mind you. I think she came back after like had everyone return after the first season, and then from there it was they kicked her off after the first season, and then but it still lasted 7 more seasons after that. So
Yeah.
clearly they were doing just fine without her.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, But yeah, so who knows with Frasier, but as of right now, canceled at Paramount Plus after 2 seasons. Moving over to NBC, they also had a huge purge of shows that I thought were gonna last. The big one being Suits LA. That was a huge deal that they were bringing this back from Suits, because they realized that people were loving to rewatch Suits, and it was over on Netflix. It was getting huge streaming numbers, and they wanted to capitalize on it. So they brought back Suits LA to give us something different, starring Stephen Amell, and I was actually interested in watching it. It actually looked pretty good, and then quickly got canceled after 1 season.
Yeah. See, but at least with this, it signified itself as its own thing. So it
Yeah,
stands as its own failure as opposed to a continuation of what Suits was, you know?
that's
It
very
tried to
true.
stand on its own and it didn't.
Yeah, again, I was actually quite shocked when I read that. I was like, "Wow, not even a month." Damn. Uh, Night Court, a reboot of the original series. I think yeah, it was just a reboot. That got canceled after 3 seasons. Lopez versus Lopez got canceled after 3 seasons. A show called Found got canceled after 2 seasons, and The Irrational got canceled after 2 seasons. All were on NBC. So again, like if there any if it's not fire or Chicago related, uh, that's it.
It's not gonna
If you're not
work.
part of this actually, let me rephrase what I just said. If you're not Law& and Order or Chicago related, you're not on NBC. The only show that seemed to survive on NBC was St. Dennis Medical. That you claim was still a really hilarious show, and I do plan on watching it soon.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's hilarious. It's such a good watch. It's on the same level of like Superstore. Like
Mhm.
it's so good and it has such a high rewatchability.
And lastly, moving over to CBS, SWAT got canceled after 8 seasons, which is kind of surprising. I feel like that's one of those shows that will kind of last forever. The Equalizer, starring Queen Latifah, kind of a spin-off or reimagining off of Denzel's The Equalizer franchise and his trilogy. That show lasted for 5 seasons. Who
That's what
knew?
who
Queen
knew?
Latifah still got it. Who knew?
She's the
Uh,
equalizer.
she's the Equalizer. And Papa's House, which starred the Wayne family. Damon Wayans was involved, and I remember reading that he was really crushed after it got canceled after just 1 season. Apparently, they put a lot of heart into it, according to his post, and yeah, he was pretty sad when that show got canceled. Um,
Yeah, it's
but
unfortunate.
that is unfortunate. But maybe they might making a comeback with the new scary movie that's coming out
Yeah.
at some point this year or next year. But there you go. A little bit of a lengthy news, but that's all the news we got for you guys this week. As always, you can follow us on our social media channels on Facebook at Box Office Bingers and our Instagram and Letterbox page at Box Office _ Bingers. We'll post all the news over there first, and then we'll come back in the show and we'll talk about it. So with that, we're going to move over to a fun segment we like to call "What You Watch." And so Ernesto, we'll start with you. What have you been watching?
So Matthew, I've got one thing that I
All
watched,
right.
and that is this movie right here, Rebel Ridge,
Mm-hmm.
based off your recommendation, sir.
Yes.
This movie is incredible. It is
Yes.
it is crazy how good this movie is. Like I really wrote it off. And here's a good example of like Netflix putting out a bunch of shit and then every now and then they just sneak in a banger. Like how did this one
Super.
slip so long under our radar?
Yeah.
Aaron Pierre is literally a superhero in real life. Like
He is.
I really think this man is a superhero. I was doing some research. He actually, because I was like, that fight choreography just looks so real. Like it was really hard for me to discern if like he had a stunt coordinator, or I'm sure there was a coordinator, but what I mean is like somebody doing his stunts for him. But apparently he did most of his own stunts. Like
Wow.
he did all his own stunts, including a notable scene where he dragged a 6'4" David Denman playing Officer Edward Marston. It takes place in the end of the movie when he drags the officer. He drags him behind a car cover without wire assistance. That means that he really dragged him for real life without any help. That was literally all him. And he wanted to go to make it look as real as possible. You know the scene where he chased the bus on a bike?
Yes.
Yeah, he did that. That was real.
Wow. That's insane.
He did an interview. You can in Men's Health. He did an interview in Men's Health magazine. Yeah, he chased the bus for multiple takes, emphasizing real effort over staged effects. He stated, "There's never a scene where I had to act that I wasn't sprinting. I was really doing it." Crazy.
It's also crazy where he's like, hey, Aaron, do you want us to slow down this bus? No, I wanted to make it real. Make it go 60. I'll get there. If it takes me all day, I'll get there on the bike. That's insane.
He
But
did it.
also like even him riding that bike and even that scene, you see the effort in his arms.
Yes, in
Like
his back.
he is jacked.
Yes, I was like, he's a real superhero. Like in real life, like he looks like Jon Stewart. Like James Gunn literally reached into a comic book and pulled out Jon Stewart, and Aaron Pierre is who came out. Like that's literally what happens. Because this movie must have been his audition tape for Jon Stewart. He must have just threw this movie on the table. It's like, watch this.
He showed to this audition and he said, "What's this? That's my Netflix password. I want you to watch this movie."
I mean, but it truly showcased like how willing he goes into his role. That it's more like he really embodies the role. It's not just like something that he's play acting. So like, yeah, he's gonna be Green Lantern and he's gonna be on some green screens, but anything physically involved, he will be involved. I think that he will be involved. Like this just gets me more excited for him to be Jon Stewart. And that's really like one of the main reasons like why I watched it. I wanted to get a sense of who he was as an actor and just like and this seems like and this is like a perfect movie that's kind of analogous to who he's going to be as Green Lantern. Like he's going to be like solving crimes and kicking ass, and this is basically what he is in this. Except next time he's going to have a Green Lantern ring, fucking people up. That's going to be the only difference between Rebel Ridge and Lanterns.
And do you see what I mean? Like this movie kind of just like grabs you as soon as it starts.
Oh,
It's like
100%, 100%. Like
and
it's
like
just so
he's like
exciting.
he's kind of jamming with the music in on the bike, and then like he gets stopped by the police, and then it doesn't stop from
It
there.
stopped.
Well, I
The
think
cop ran him over.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
he didn't
they run
stop.
him over.
It is funny because you can see the lights flashing behind him, and he's got like the metal music, so he doesn't hear him. So the cop runs him over. Oh, we tried to get you to stop. And it's so interesting how like rehearsed they made the cops. Where like clearly they were doing something wrong, but
Yeah.
anything that came at them, any adjustment, they were able to just right off the roll of their tongue and just like roll with the punches. Like how they were. It's a fantastic movie. Like it really, really is a great underdog story. Like it's kind of like Walking Tall, but better.
I told you it was better than Walking
You're
Tall.
you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Aaron Pierre
It,
is a superhero. Like that should just be like the tagline of this movie. Like
and
you messed
uh,
up. You fucked up when you got him on your back.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I love the verbal exchange that they have in this movie, and also I liked that this movie, in a way, wasn't about what you think. When you see the trailer, you think, "Oh, this is a clear. It's about race," and it's not.
Mm,
Like
no,
there are
not at all.
elements, sure, but for the main storyline, it is not a white cop, black civilian story. It is much, much more than that. And I think that's also why I really enjoy this movie because it subverted my expectations of what I thought the trailer was giving me.
And you bring a good point. I also like that there wasn't a lot of action fight scenes. but it was the way that he moved throughout each scenario of whatever was
Hmm.
taking place, whether like he would tactically figure it out or just like way his mannerisms and how he would do things, like you were not bored. Like there was only a few fight scenes, but yet like every scene like had a payoff. Like whether he planned something, him chasing the bus, like him running through the woods, and like it this movie hits on a lot of different levels. It is
Yeah,
fantastic.
and it's also that moment, like that intensity, like even when he gets his money back and he's going to the bondsman to like just he just needs to get it done. You feel anxious for him because you
Mhm.
know there's a timetable to it. And I think that movie throughout does a really good job of like keeping you tense
Yeah,
because the stakes are you feel the stakes of the movie. Um, but yeah, if anything, watch this movie just to see this is our John Stewart, and this has me extremely excited for the Lantern series coming next year.
absolutely. Like this just exactly. This just gets me more excited for him coming into the DCU and what that's going to look like. And also I just really like him as an actor. So
Yeah,
like even outside of that, I think any project that he's going to be attached to, I'm more than likely going to want to watch it just cuz he's involved.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
But that's all I got for this week.
Okay. Uh, which one did you pick first? I'm not
I
sure
don't
which one
know.
you picked.
I forgot to say you didn't tell we didn't ask you didn't tell me which one you wanted to go first. All right, so
Okay,
do you want
surprise
to
me.
go the one that we know or the one that you don't know first?
Let's do the one I don't know. I won't take that long.
All right.
Uh, so I saw this just hit Peacock is starring Ki Kwan and Ariana DeBois. Love Hurts. It came out around not Thanksgiving. It came out around Valentine's
Valentine's
Day,
Day.
at least the week before. And I gave this movie a shot despite the overly negative reviews on this movie. And I have to say those reviews were correct.
For me, it was a choice between Rebel Ridge and this movie.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
So I love Ki Kwan. He's always been a favorite. Since I mean, he was already a favorite when he was a kid in Indiana Jones and in the Goonies, but now his comeuppance and his kind of resurgence after Everything Everywhere All at Once, I was like, I want to watch this man in everything. I still want to watch American Born Chinese, that show we just mentioned earlier, because
Mm.
he's involved with it. But he was in Loki season 2, and he was fantastic. uh, and he's also part of other projects. But this uh, this is his first movie that he was leading in, like as the number one on the call sheet. So I kind of wanted to give it its due. As like I like Ki Kwan as an actor. I want to see what this movie is about, and I will say that this story is horrendous. It's rough. This is not a good story. I really felt bad for him because, like, there's a point watching this is like, this is bad.
You said it is rough.
It's rough, man. Uh, but I want to give it some due here. The action when he's doing it, it's very reminiscent to Jackie Chan. You can tell that they really paid more attention to the action scenes than they did with the story in this movie. So, if all else, if you just want a fun, dumb action movie, this delivers on that. But anything else, no.
You have to truly turn your brain off.
You truly do. And Ariana DeBois, I'm sorry, she was awful in this movie. And like some of the choices she's made after her Oscar winning performance in West Side Story, I don't see it. To be honest, I didn't even see it in West Side Story, but also I didn't like that movie, so it's really hard for me to cheer anything on about that movie. And
And
I mean,
she
Ariana
was the
DeBois and
that movie
Rachel
wasn't
Zegler have come off of that
that's true.
success.
And that movie wasn't that great, but she was probably the best thing about that movie. And that's
That's
probably
fair.
why. Like, yeah, Rachel Zegler was okay. She can sing. Rachel Zegler can sing, but so
Yeah.
can Ariana DeBois. But Ariana DeBois can also act and sing. So she does well in certain roles. And I guess this one just wasn't one of them.
Yeah. What's actually kind of funny at this point because she was also in What's that Matthew Vaughn movie? We reviewed it last year and it was also not great. Uh Argyle. She was also in Argyle
She was in
and
Argyle. That's right.
not a good movie. Uh Unfortunately for Ariana DeVore, she was in Wish. She played the main lead in Wish.
But she was fantastic in.
I mean, the songs were great. I still like the songs, even though most people will disagree.
Yeah,
Her main song was great. The showstopper of that was good. We actually still thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I remember we both liked that movie,
I do.
but
I
it
like that
was
movie. I thought it was good. I thought it
yeah.
was good.
Apparently, it was not well received uh, in the masses of Disney animation. So it was kind of a shocker, but I did like that movie. And then I guess you know, coincidentally, Rachel Zegler was also starring in a Disney film, and that also didn't go over well for both
Yeah,
of them
for different reasons.
for different reasons. Sure, sure. But either way, like I still like Ke Huy Quan. His fighting style very reminiscent to Jackie Chan's fighting style. Like it was very much him picking up any random objects and using it to his defense,
Mm.
and that's always fun to watch. And so I think, like, I would love to see more action from Ke Huy Quan, just surrounded by a better story. Pretty much exactly what Everything Everywhere All at Once was. Like he was able to give us acting chops and great action, and I'm hoping he's able to give us that again. Just this movie was not it,
Mm.
and we're also seeing him in Zootopia too. I totally forgot about that. He's has a voice role in that movie as well. I think a big one too. So we'll see him around, but
He ain't going nowhere.
he ain't going nowhere.
It's only a
Dumb
matter of
fun.
time. It's only a matter of time before he makes it into Marvel. Actually, he already
He
did.
already
I
he
was
already
just
did.
about.
Yeah.
As soon as I said it, I remembered. That's right. So which one is he
Yeah.
left? Does he need to go to Star Wars? Has he done Star Wars yet?
I'm not sure if he's done Star Wars yet, so he might have to go to Star
It's
Wars.
only a matter of time.
Yeah. He was also that's right, he played a small role in a DreamWorks, Kung Fu Panda 4, I believe.
That's
So, yeah,
right.
he's already hit DreamWorks, he's already in Disney's pocket. So, yeah, I guess in order for you to be a Disney legend, you gotta be part of all 4 quadrants of a of the Disney franchise. So, he's already part of Marvel, and he's already got Disney Animation. So, yeah, you just gotta give him a Star Wars and a live action something, and then he's good. He's golden.
Could be like Oscar Isaac and just collect characters like Infinity Stones. He's gonna play like 3 different roles in
Yeah.
in Secret Wars.
But yeah, so anyway, that's Love Hurts, and then it's on Peacock if you're interested. And then a show that actually you recommended,
Uh-huh.
that I actually watched in its entirety. But I will admit, it was I went to go visit my parents on Mother's Day weekend, and my mom was like, we were trying to find something to watch, and she was like, "Have you seen The Residence?" I was like, "No," and Ernesto said it was good. She's like, "All right, let's start it." Um, we had watched 6 episodes the first day, and then there was like, okay, well, then in the next day, it was like, well, we got to finish it now. Uh, so we just kind of watched everything within a 24-hour time span. And it was a good on a binge.
Yeah.
I will say that I do think it was a lot. There was like a lot going on in this show.
Yeah.
Um,
Like a
but
classic, kind of like a classic whodunit, you know.
definitely a classic whodunit. But my mom, she's funny. She was also very impatient. And so by episode 5, she's like, oh, just tell me who the killer is. Like, mom, they're not gonna tell you till like the end. And so like when we get to the end of the season, and our detective was like, all right, everyone gets together, and then she spent an additional 20 minutes going over everything. She's like, ah, it's so funny. But I thought it was very clever, like this whole series. They really had you guessing, even within those 20 minutes. They're like, and it's you, but it's not really, and it's you, but not really. And then it really kind of obviously we have the true ending there. And I think this was touted as a limited series, but you can easily have her come back in another show. The Resident season 2 with a brand new murder, and she was fantastic in the show.
Yeah, she's a great centerpiece for it. But you could the next season could just be another house, and it could be a different
Mhm.
like the Residence doesn't have to be the Oval Office, or it
Right.
doesn't have to be the White House.
But I think it. I mean, it definitely gave it some uniqueness to
Yes.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it also took turns where I wasn't expecting. Um, throughout the season, I didn't expect like halfway through we were actually going to leave. Like essentially, there was a break where like they were no longer in the crime scene and like a lot of time has passed, and then they went to this court case. I, for some reason, didn't expect that we would take a break from that, and then they have to revisit and kind of having what months later try to resolve it after the crime and all the verdicts were not the verdicts, but like the crime was already committed. Most of those murder mysteries were like within a a brief window, if not the night of. Uh, so I thought that was pretty unique. But yeah, I thought this was a great kind of binge worthy show.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was pretty good. I'm curious. Hopefully, they bring something like it later on. I mean, and Shonda, she's got a great relationship. So many of her shows are on Netflix now.
Very true. Without, I don't want to give anything away, but did you guess who the murderer was
I actually
at any
didn't.
point?
I actually didn't. Not until we got like not until like I think maybe like right before it happened. But even then, I
Yeah,
think it's more of they told me and like I figured out like right before they told us. But
yeah,
no, and I usually pick it up pretty quickly, and I think that's what was good is that they were able to get me. Like I didn't I didn't figure it out anytime right before they told me.
yeah. And I feel like because there were so many moving parts in this series, there are so many suspects. I think they were able to like kind of any one of them could have been like breadcrumbs for you to follow and assume that it was the person. And like yeah, I think they did a really good job of like giving good reason for anyone to be the suspect. Well, anyone to be the murderer with the multiple suspects that they had, and coming down to the end and being like, "Oh, okay." So that's because there are also many stories that could have led to that as well. Like if they would have ended like the couple story, for example, and then like, okay, you guys are the murderers. Like, oh, I would have believed that. But it just, I feel like it took it a step further. Of like, here's everyone's motives that could have been the murderer, but here's the person who actually committed the murder.
What I think it does well is that it makes all those possibilities believable that they could have done it. I think is what
Yes.
it does well. Is that each situation that they link you that could possibly be a suspect, like they're each one as we were doing it, I go, oh yeah, that's the person. And I usually I'm pretty good about I'm pretty good about picking up on stuff like that. But they had me.
Mhm.
Like each one seemed believable and they flushed the characters out enough to where you have the context. Also, like um having the same situation just from a different point of view. So like a perfect example is I think it's the president's brother and the plumber. Like at first you hear him,
Yeah.
he's telling him that the plumber's complaining and you don't think anything about it, but when you learn the plumber's backstory, then you understand what he's complaining about and why he's complaining. But you don't have that context in the beginning. You just think it's some guy yelling, but it wasn't. So there's a lot of those little moments within each characters that weave in that make you go, huh, like I didn't think about it that way. It just cause you to reflect.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then again, we get to the end and I think it was by the time we get there and you're like, "Oh yeah, okay." Now and you automatically like, "Yeah, I see how we got there," because they spent a lot of time giving you all the details that could have been. And also in a sense it was a little self-aware of what this show was as well, which I think also helped the show as well. I liked her like her birding analogies, and she's like a birder and that's like her thing. That added some quirkiness to the show
Yeah.
that was kind of charming and somewhat funny.
She was an interesting character. She was an interesting character that I would love to see re-explored. And I think that's what also made it just as what made it entertaining.
Yeah, 100% agree. So anyway, that's our thoughts on The Residents, and that is all we've been watching. So now we're going to be diving into our spoiler review, which is also our foreign film of the month, which is Bullet Train Explosion. Like we said earlier, is a Japanese film, a sequel to the 1975 film, The Bullet Train. Ernesto, we'll start with you. What were your thoughts on Bullet Train Explosion?
Um, Man, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really like this movie. It was okay. Like I'm just gonna be straight up honest, the movie felt very. It just felt. I guess I just had higher expectations. I just because normally that's what we get from like foreign films, but this felt like very much like a Hollywood surface level action film.
Yeah.
Right? Am I alone on this? Are you in agreement?
Yeah, I think it definitely yes. To your point of like a highly produced action level action movie, that's what this was.
Yeah. The only thing that I thought was really cool is all the stuff with the railway. I thought was really intriguing. Just like how they were timing stuff out, like all the realism and like the technical precision. It kind of felt like you were like watching a documentary of like how they were able to time things out and set things up. Um, it felt real. I don't know how real it is, but it felt real to me.
Hmm. I think to your point, everything building up to the train leaving, as well as once we realized that there's a bomb on the train, there was like everything when we kind of cut to them trying to figure out solutions was for me the best parts of the movie
Yeah,
because you see their brains, circulating like how can we do this? How can we do that? Like what can we do? And I feel like everything inside the train were the moments where it felt cheesy and the simplified action beats that happen within this disaster beats, but then when we cut away to like them trying to figure out, I feel like that gave it that extra level of authenticity or realism or drama where I was more focused in rather than when we cut inside the train, it felt very gimmicky.
yeah, and then like you learn that it's the girl, and like her dad was like the the bomber in the first one, and then the cop like took credit for it, and then I don't know, like at the very end when she's sitting in the back of the cop car, and he's like, "Look, you shouldn't lose faith in humanity. We made our money." She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna live. All you had to do is kill me for the." How's the other thing? All you have to do is kill me, and the bombs will deactivate. Bye. Like, this is America. We could have ended this hours ago. I gotta go to work.
I'll be honest. I was no pun intended on board with this movie up until that twist. And I was like,
What?
"Wait, what?
I'm,
Wait,
I'm
what's
sick.
happening?"
I'm sick, and the bomb is tied to my heart. Once my heart stops, the bomb stops, and everybody else lives because I'm so sad.
Yeah, to me this was a very 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 weak motive. Like, okay, I can get behind here's a twist. The young girl is the bomber. Okay. Whoa, big moment. But then it was mixed in between like here's this young girl who's gonna call her father, and then she's like, I'm mad at you because you took credit over a bomber's suicide, but you spent my entire childhood claiming that you shot the bomber and you're a hero, and I hate you
See,
for
and
lying to these people.
yeah,
And I
and
was like, wait, hold on. So first of all, they're obviously attaching themselves to the events that happened in the first movie, a movie we did not see, so we're already disconnected. And then out of complete left field, you're trying to have us believe that this like we want to care about this random cop from a movie we didn't see as a character we have not shown or explored at all. And then all of a sudden this character who we've barely seen throughout the movie is now our bad guy. And we are also supposed to care about that. I just didn't buy it.
I I almost wish they would have given like let us know that give us that twist up front and let us build that hate with her. Like I wonder if they had
Mm,
set it up as giving us that information because I do think it's interesting, especially just given like Japanese culture and Asian culture of like her being mad at him for not being an honorable person. I think in the Asian culture, I think that's an interesting point to hit on because that's some of the
Mhm.
things that they're really big on. So I think if they had given us that in the beginning and given us something to care about and maybe intersperse like past memories of her and her dad and how much she fucking hates him. And the pinnacle of the
Mhm.
film, instead of you learning about the twist, is her killing him. Is her like calling him on the phone and like blowing him up. And it's like you almost like because then I feel like at the end of the movie they wanted you to care about this girl. Otherwise, like why have this empathetic moment with her and the cop of him trying to reinstill humanity into her? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's honestly that's really the thing. It's like you were the main focus of this movie and what this movie was always feel like was meant to be was there's a bomb on the train. We need to get everyone to safety. That is your story.
Yeah.
And then like 2/3 of the way in, we're like, and the bomber could have been anybody. Like, it didn't have to be somebody that had lore to this franchise.
Yeah.
It didn't need any of that. It just been like it could have just been a spiritual reboot slash sequel to the original. And I actually liked parts again when we were outside the train where they're like, didn't something like this similar happen in the 70s? Let's go grab those files. They find the files and then like they're trying to see what happened there to help them in this situation. That's it. To me, that's all you needed. Then all of a sudden, we're like, well, this is the daughter of the cop who shot the bomber, but the bomber actually committed suicide. And the person who helped the little girl create those bombs out of rage was the bomber's son. And you're like, what? Wait, I'm sorry.
What?
What? What's going on? Are we still is there still a threat on this train? We took a huge side detour on this lore that I felt like did not add anything to this story. And then also, even before that, halfway through, you also eliminated the threat, at least parts of it, by taking away almost all of the people that were in danger.
Yeah, like you took away, I think it's like almost 350 passengers and left with like basically like the actors of the movie. Like they
Yeah,
like 8 or 9 people. Like they were the ones who were left to like finish it off. Like, all right, let's get rid of the main thread. They could go, get out of here. And then now it's just
yeah.
us. Let's figure this out.
And I think that moment leading into, like, all those people, kinda jumping the train, like, that was thrilling.
Yeah,
Like,
that
I
was
liked the
exciting.
the prep of that, the kind of, like I think honestly the big, credit I give this movie is the editing. Like, the way this movie was edited, was, like, these tight, quick shots of them in preparation, like, even taking time to, like, roll out paper and kinda get a ruler and start drawing, like, lines and trying to figure this out, and then seeing that execution from the plan
Hmm.
that they figured out, that's the stuff I like.
Yeah,
Like,
I
having
agree.
the other train going in reverse and getting a ladder involved and, like, that's great stuff, and, like, matching it with the speed, and you have to go a certain speed and not going over or this, or them having to pass through the station, them almost hitting another train and they had to slow down, like, all that stuff was, like, really thrilling to watch because that's what I came here for. I came to see these close calls, these like near death experiences, but we also assume that a good majority of these people are probably going to live and maybe one or two might die and the whoever the bomber is probably doesn't matter. But all of a sudden they tied into this lore story that to me that just took me completely out of the movie and did not land for me whatsoever. But I did still like the parts that revolved around the high stakes bomb on a train dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, this movie could have been easily like 30 minutes shorter. You could have cut out
Yes.
all that gobbledygook and you could have just kept the main you could have just kept the main stuff and it would have
Yeah.
been I feel like it would have movie would have hit a little bit harder. I don't know, I just they could have if just the way they ended it, it just felt like you want to like okay, it felt like you're making me want to care about these characters that I have zero connection to. But it
You're not
they spent the beginning of the movie setting up the train, like which I get. I understand. Maybe you want to showcase the part of the purposes is you showcasing this. I mean, this technological achievement that is there. You know, they being able to go from one side to the other at such high speeds. like, yeah, that's cool. Like, the whole bullet train itself. But I felt
Hmm.
like maybe there was too much exposition on that and maybe not enough on these characters that they wanted us to care about. There should have been, could have, maybe there was just needed to be a little bit more balanced. But I loved, like you said, like all the engineering stuff. I thought that was really cool. I think it made the movie interesting. Like it made it seem like they were making smart decisions on trying to figure this out instead of it just being like a kind of what we talked about last week. It's just like when they had just have like random MacGuffins, like, oh, we just
Yeah.
need to get device A onto B that's like the transmogrifier that will stop this thing from doing the exact thing that we want it to stop doing. Whereas this felt like some kind of ingenuity and like trying to figure it out while it's happening.
Yeah, and to me that felt very uh I wouldn't say refreshing, but it's definitely something that I expected.
Yeah.
Like I expected that that's what the movie I signed up for. Um and then and I feel like to your point that you were saying, you're like you wanted less exposition on the train and more on the characters. Well, quite honestly, like I think it needed to pick which one it wanted to be. And I think this movie didn't know what it wanted to be. So if we wanted to focus more on the characters, then sure, then give us less on the train and more of a character driven story. But from the start, I didn't think this was a character driven or story at all. We just had the big story moments were the threat. High speed train, bomb on train. Characters don't really matter. We just have a problem and we need to fix. That's the movie I signed up for. Less about caring about these people on the train. We care because we don't want them to die in general, but I wasn't expecting full on backstories on some of these. Like I think again, we established certain characters. We have our driver, we have our conductor, we have, and then all of a sudden, like, wait, there's a politician we gotta
Yeah.
worry about. There's this creepy girl we gotta worry about. Here's this internet.
Influencer, the guy with the phone who was like
Yeah,
who like
was he an
set up.
influencer?
Yeah, he was like a big influencer, and that's how they were getting people to raise money. Because he
I didn't
set
I
he
didn't
set
catch
up
him as an influencer.
he
I guess
set
like
up
he wrote a book.
he like set up his website. He like set up a website for people to start donating. Yeah,
And I feel like
but then they give us these moments of them like interacting of like, oh, you don't understand. Oh, well, you're the politician, so you're supposed to know. You're supposed to be able to make those soulless decisions. And it's like
yes.
these weird moments like that where they're like, or maybe they're just trying to give a reflection of like more of society and like how people interact with different things. And what if you got all these people together in this situation? How would we expect that type of person to react? So there's like a little bit of that, but it just felt like, I think to your point, it was like a lot of different things and no clear through line of exactly what it wanted to be.
Yeah, and I feel like we also in a way started storylines, but never really finished
Yeah.
them. So to
Yes.
the point where like we have that, I guess, influencer, the author of this book or the I don't know, like this I forgot what the book title was, like the richest, the something richest man or the poorest richest man or something. I don't
Something
know.
like that. Yeah.
But he was like, "Oh, the problem," like he in his eyes, the problem wasn't how do we stop this train. Uh, the problem was like, "Oh, the solution is that we just need 100 billion yen and then we're out of here." So then that became the focus. Like, please save us. We need to raise all this money. But as the films said that we don't negotiate with terrorists, so the government has no care on trying to raise this money or how to get this money. But then the bomber was like, I'm not expecting the government to pay. I want the people of Tokyo to pay. And so if you split it within all these different ways, it'll be $1,000 a person or 1,000, sorry, not dollars, but 1,000 yen per person. And then that's how we can get out of here. But then it negates all of that when we find out who the bomber is. And then this is just a revenge story that she wanted revenge on her father, which she did not need to hijack the train for because she just already killed him. And then she's like, I'm happy now. I don't care what happens to you guys. So as long as you kill me, it diffuses the bomb. So then you're like, well, what about the money? It was never about the money. Then why did we even bother going down that storyline in the first place?
It almost would have been better if they had gotten rid of the money completely, and then she could have just talked it as making them look into the original bullet train, situation, and making
Mhm.
them uncover what really happened. That to me,
Yeah.
that would have been a much better revenge story.
100% because the money and the revenge has nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, she could have still been sick with the stupid heart thing. Like we still could have did that, but then we didn't even need the money. But the thing is that they use the money at the end as a plot device for her to reinstill humanity in herself. So I wonder if it was. It almost seems like the story was there, and then they're like, "Well, we want to make you care about this girl at the end. So let's write this through line through here, right? I don't know, because it seems like you have the story, and then you have this other random layer on top of like, because then we only come back to it at certain points of the movie. It's and then
Yeah,
once we dispense, and then it's like a throwaway thing at the literal end of the movie, but it makes sense giving it to her because of what it could do for her in her development. So
right.
I understand the necessity. It felt like an afterthought in the story in the writing of the story.
But also, even on top of that, like, even a part of these types of story, your bomber, your villain, like, at the time is like this person was making phone calls to I guess the command station of like there's a bomb, I mean business, blah blah blah. And typically we would see that interactions throughout the movie. And even at some point they're like, I wouldn't try to get them off the train if I were you. If you decide to tamper with anything or do any altercations, I'm gonna set off a bomb. And there was nothing of that. Almost the little girl was like, yeah, sure. I'm kind of curious to see how you guys pull this off. But like it didn't like at some point in the movie we just stopped caring about the bomber and what and again the whole reason for the money, and just trying to get these people out. And then to your point, we never really went back to it once all those people were off, and the only story beats that kind of worked was for the government side of we're no longer like gonna try to use our resources or try to raise the money or anything. I mean, they're never gonna raise the money because they don't want to negotiate with terrorists.
Hmm.
But they I think another interesting aspect was like the government's no longer going to help use our resources to try to save 9 people. We were doing that to save a full train of people, but now there's only 9 people left. We're willing to, you know, take the losses, and that's kind of damn, like like that to me that was like a real story beat where like kind of devastating that like yeah we're no longer going to try to help you, and like they want to blow up this train before it hits Tokyo where it could reach more people. And you kind of come with that realization until at the last minute they're like, well, we can try this, and then it worked. So like, yeah, I think again to your point, we have a few things that were happening and none of which are lining up. And I was kind of on board along for the ride up until that twist. And it was a hard left turn that again, just took me completely out of this movie, and I don't think it needed it whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. I was just like, what are
Um,
we doing?
yeah, I don't know. Uh, I feel like we're winding down. I feel like we have really no more to say.
I don't. I don't actually.
Yeah.
I think you know.
All right. So let's just go to our final thoughts then, because I don't want to drag this out any longer than we need to. I could have thought of like a few more points to bring up, but it's like, yeah,
You got nothing.
this I got nothing. So with that, our final thoughts and our 5-star rating.
So, like kind of what I said before, I really think
Yeah.
that it could have been. There's a way it could have been better. It could have been a little bit shorter. I think that they should have given us the reveal in the very beginning and had us build upon that if you wanted us to care about her in the end, which the ending made it
Yeah.
seem like you did. Like you could have interspersed like her talking about her dad hating her and how mean he was. Like why didn't we get into that? We could have got into the psyche of this person a little bit more, and it would have made me care about her even a little bit more. Because at the end, I was just he's like, look, don't give up hope yet, and then it's like, okay, don't care anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah.
You go to
Well, we
jail now.
we give a we get a fade out of the conductor and everyone's like cheering him on, like, "Hey, you're a hero," and then the credits roll,
It's like,
and
all
it's
right,
like, okay,
movie's over. Goodbye. Like, that's how it felt.
but then we get 2 different endings though. Again, it's like the ending of the characters and the traditional ending of what I thought this movie was going to be.
Yeah.
Like your traditional like the conductor was set up to be our hero anyway. Like he's the man who cares about the people, but in a sense, he was only like it just felt like I would have held more weight if everyone was on board rather than the last nine.
Yeah, because then otherwise, why did we go through the trouble of like making them keep her alive? Because they wanted her to like face her consequences, but also like be
Mhm.
alive for them. Otherwise, oh, we could have lived a long time ago just by killing you. Like this movie could have been over an hour. Like we could have been done with this like 5 hours ago. Like what are we doing
Yeah,
here? You know,
yeah, and
I don't know.
also not to mention we got some unnecessary backstory about the politician
Yeah,
and the other guy who was what a part of helicopter tours and ended up
that's right.
accidentally killing 8 people, and then like they were all hating on him, and then
Unnecessary.
again another plot line that went nowhere.
Yeah, we could have spent that time learning about the bomber and why she hated her dad. And then when she killed
Yeah.
her dad, we would have been like, "Wow, she finally did it." Or "Wow, he actually like it makes you like it would have been cool as if they would have given us a conflicted feeling about her killing him. Cuz right now it's like,
Yeah.
well, she sucks. She just blew up her dad while she was on the phone with him. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, and to your point, if it was more of a revenge-filled story and, they were like if it was more focused on revenge, more of them, like, having those conversations over the phone and being like, them being like, "You should further investigate why I'm doing this," go back to the original casing, or them
Mm,
realizing that there are similarities from the previous one. So, like, "Wait a minute, this happened before, let's go investigate that. Wait, I'm seeing similarities, what's going on here?" And then moving off of that, then having the bomber having constant communications with the people on board, and then eventually the reveal they could have 2 reveals. One, that the bomber was on the plane. You're like on the train. You're like, "What?" And then the second part of the reveal was that it was this little girl. And then to your point, going to her father, like, is she going to then after everything we've learned, we see that she kills her father, maybe being conflicted by like we kind of feel for her for a little bit, but kind of understand her. But then she's also trapping all these people on a plane or on a train. I keep saying plane. On the train, and then kind of going off from there and have a similar result. So yeah, to your point, we could have been in a lot of different avenues where like you take out these unnecessary plot points and focus on your one narrative. Either you make it a clear vision on this revenge story, or you just make it a generic high speed train explosion, bullet train explosion. Like as silly as the title is, it could have been as silly as the movie was.
yeah. It probably sounds better in Japanese.
Yeah, that's fair. Also fair.
I'm so with that, I'm gonna go 2 stars.
Two. Okay. I was gonna go 2.5, but I think I'll meet you on the two.
Come down
I
with
think
me
I'll
to the dark side.
because I did like the parts that worked with it.
Yeah,
I
that's the
still like
for me. That's the two. That's the two it gets. It's all that technical prowess and shit that they gave us. That's the most entertaining part of the movie. That was it for me.
Here's Uncle Roger breaking down the star system. Number one, it's a movie. They got it made. Already got the 1 star. Number two, they gave us some entertainment. That's the 2 star. Other than that, it doesn't earn any more stars. That's it.
Nothing. It did. It just did nothing.
Thanks, Uncle Roger, for that breakdown. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um, so so there you go. 2 out of 5 stars. Not exactly what we were on board to watch, but hey, another one in the books. I'm never. This is a tradition we've been doing since the start of this podcast, and sometimes we get some winners. Sometimes we don't.
Makes you appreciate. Makes you appreciate the winners.
There you go. There you go. So there you go. That's our spoiler review of our. Nope, that's our spoiler review on Bullet Train Explosion, which is our foreign film of the month. And that is all the show we have for you guys this week. Go follow us on our social media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers, our X and Letterbox page at Box Office Binger, and our Threads and Instagram page at Box Office _ Bingers. The fun doesn't stop here. It continues on all of our social media channels. So be sure to give each one of those a follow, especially on our Letterbox page where we do all our movie reviews, our YouTube channel where you can see our beautiful faces, on Facebook. Instagram and Tik and Threads, where we have all of our entertainment news, our new to stream Fridays, and our box office reports every Sunday. And then you can see us on TikTok, where we have little fun videos from little snippets from each episode that we do. And also, just talking about our foreign film of the month, send us your recommendations. We try to do this at least once a month. During the summer times and during the winter times, it might not be as easy to do these once a month, but we do our best and we hit a decent, we want to see more foreign films as part of just kind of the box office binges of it all. We like to watch everything and even the shows and the movies that are not here in the US. Just kind of following our good friend Bong Joon Ho. If you get past the 1 inch border, you can be unlocked to a world of more movies. So we want to see more of those good ones. This
Absolutely.
week this week didn't hit it, but maybe next month, maybe it will.
Maybe. We'll hope so.
We hope so. Ernesto, tell our listeners what they can look forward to next week.
Next week we are going to be reviewing Tom Cruise's new movie because he's crazy, doing crazy things. Um, is it Dead Reckoning? Is that the end?
No, the Mission Impossible, the final reckoning.
Final Reckoning.
Yes.
Yeah, this is going to be the end. This is the last one. We'll see. For now,
We'll see.
We'll see what he does now. But Tom Cruise knows how to bring people to a movie theater. He does his own stunts. We're gonna see what crazy shit he does this movie.
Yeah, and what I'm actually really looking forward about this movie was that I guess just inadvertently, I never really paid too much attention to the trailer. So like I really don't know what the big stunt is. I don't know where we're going with this finale. So for me going into this, I feel like I'm going into it blind, which kind of makes me excited to kind of just sit back, relax, and just enjoy Tom Cruise doing crazy shit on a thing I don't know yet. But
And
it's
it,
gonna be crazy and I feel like it's gonna be fun. And I always have a great time watching his movies. And well, his Mission Impossible movies.
and aren't you seeing it in 40x?
My plan is to see it in 40x, so my
Yeah.
chair will be moving.
You
We
better
be shaking.
holster that drink, Matthew.
We're gonna drink all the water and use the bathroom before because that drink is gonna be on the floor by the end of this movie.
Plus,
And it's a long one too. It's
yeah,
almost 3 hours.
it's another long one. Even
Yep.
the last one was 240 something. It was just as long.
Yeah.
That's 5 hours and 2 out of 10. Was it 10 Mission Impossible
No,
films?
no, this is eight. Number eight.
Eight one. Sorry, I'm thinking of Fast
Yeah.
and the Furious.
Are you gonna try? I know you're on this kick, but I'm just still to ask the question. Are you gonna still try to watch any of the previous films leading into it, or
Whew.
it's a lot. I know it's a commitment.
I think
Maybe like the last two, maybe.
I think maybe the last one, the one that's directly connected to this one,
Fair.
it may be the original one.
Okay.
Just to kind of see where the franchise has been to where it
Mhm.
is now. How
Okay.
has it gone off the rails like so many others? Fast and the Furious started street racing, and now they're shooting cars into space.
Yeah, we're not in the streets no more.
We're all
Uh,
family.
family in space.
Family in space. But yeah,
But yeah,
I'm curious on the evolution. Although if we have enough time, maybe I don't know. We'll see. But at the very least, I'm gonna try for the one right before this one and the original one.
I kind of like that because you can kind of see like you said, the progression of how it's gone throughout the years. I want to, I want to rewatch them all before Final Reckoning. I just don't think I'm going to have the time to do
I
that.
don't
I
think
feel
I'm
like I
gonna
should
have
have
the time
started
either.
last week.
Yeah, this was a last week probably. Unless you start today.
If
Like
I
as soon
start
as we-
today and then watch nothing else until that movie,
I
which
mean, I don't know.
that's not.
You could do it,
I probably could have had other things going on,
but you do. Unfortunately.
but yes. So either way, whatever happens, but I like your approach. If all else fails, watch the original, watch Dead Reckoning Part One, leading into the Final Reckoning. So, and who knows? They claim this is the final movie in the franchise. Maybe it'll go out with a bang. So, I'm here for it. I've always loved this franchise, and I like to see how they wrap things up with this 3 hour movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so there you go. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening to us just talk about movies. Really do appreciate it. Come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
Oh, and I've been Ernesto Santos. See ya.